Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to today's session. So as usual, we have a quiz every Tuesday. So today also the NCERT session will start with a quiz, and after this one we will see chapter number 2 of standard 10 NCERT, that is Indian National Movement, a very important chapter, but we will go to that after this quiz. Okay, so this is something that is practiced by Unacademy. Every Tuesday we are doing this quizzes. Alright, so in order to participate in this quiz, all you have to do is download the Unacademy learning app, and in this app go to the just make a right swipe and click this plus icon. Okay, you can see the screenshot in my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, hit this plus and then go to the test tab, which is underneath your screen, and hit the join quiz button. Okay, followed by entering this code 499043. Clear? Once you do this, you will be able to participate in this quiz live. Okay, so we will start the quiz in a couple of minutes. So those viewers who are in YouTube, kindly join this quiz via the Unacademy learning app. Okay, I'll just wait for a couple of minutes for you to participate. Okay, so please join this quiz. Again, I will once more tell you the instructions. Download the Unacademy learning app, and in the app click this plus button. Okay, once you do this, you will go to another screen where you can hit this test tab underneath the screen and then hit the join quiz button. Clear? And enter this code 499043. Okay, please do this so that you can also participate, because in the YouTube screen the questions may not be that much visible. Also, in order to get the answers, detailed explanations of the answers are given within the app itself. So kindly join the quiz via the Unacademy learning app. Okay, so today's topic is polity. So you can try your how much you have prepared and all. You can self-evaluate yourself after this quiz. There will be 50. I have arranged 50 questions, 40 seconds for each question. So this will go on for some time, about 40 minutes. And we will take it from there. Okay, but the quiz will only be happening if at least 2 people join live. Okay, now it is 4:03, so by 4:05 let's see how many joins, and if at least 2 people are there, I will be going ahead with the quiz. If people are not there, I will straight away start with the session. Okay, so a couple of minutes remaining for all of you to join. Now it is 4:03. I will start the session at 4:05. So I request all of you to join as fast as possible. Hello Ramkumar, good evening. Okay, based on the number of people who are joining, I will either cancel this quiz at 4:05 or I will go ahead with it. One more minute I will be waiting for others to join. Okay, polity quiz I have conducted one before, so those who have participated there may or may not participate in this one. Some questions are similar, some are new questions, but you can try it out yourself. Okay, I will wait for just 1 minute and then we will start with Indian National Movement. Okay, if nobody is joining, I think we will directly go to the session today, which is Indian National Movement, very important for your UPSC. Okay, yeah, now it is 4:05. So far no one has joined, so I think I will directly go with the session. Alright, I mean we can do this quiz maybe later if other people are willing to join. But otherwise we are going to move directly with the lesson for the day. Okay, so anyway, let me just bring up the screen. Okay, one second, let me just put things up. All right. Thank you for waiting. Now we are going to start with our session, that is Contemporary World 2. Okay, Standard 10 textbook, history. We are moving to our next session. We have started this textbook yesterday and one session has been completed already, and we are moving into our second lecture, that is India and the Contemporary World 2, Indian National Movement. Okay, let's start. So before that, let me just introduce to you about Unacademy. Unacademy is India's largest learning platform which offers you a wide variety of things such as daily live classes, where you can chat with your educator, interact with the educator, okay, and clear your doubts. Then live tests and quizzes. You can actually use these live tests and quizzes to evaluate your preparation. So I recommend that you join these sessions so that you can, have a better idea where you stand. Okay. Then there are structured courses. Structured courses are designed in such a way that the entire syllabus of that particular examination is covered. So if you are preparing for UPSC, the entire syllabus for UPSC will be covered if you go for the structural courses. Then you have unlimited access to Unacademy resources. So all these are provided to you if you get an Unacademy subscription. Now, the first thing to do all these things is download Unacademy learning app. Okay, download Unacademy learning app. Once you do this from Google Play or App Store, you can get a subscription and you can straight away start with the classes. Okay, now about me, I am Madhav Sankar R Warrier. This is my Telegram channel. Please follow me in this channel for that, so that you can get, the class notes, PDFs, session links, etc., etc. Also, this is my Unacademy channel where you can subscribe or follow so that you can participate or you will get notified whenever I schedule a lesson in the Unacademy app. Okay, I am taking classes in Unacademy app as well as in YouTube. So to get updates regarding the Unacademy app classes, you can follow me in this link. Clear? Now, Unacademy brings you all these top educators from all over the nation whose expertise can be used for your preparation. And these are the basic rates. Okay, so the basic package, also known as the plus package, which will include everything that I have so far mentioned, includes all these things. Okay, I mean different packages: 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. For a typical 1 year subscription, it will cost you around 49,500 rupees. Okay, but if you use my code MSRW1, you can get a 10% deduction and has to pay only 44,550 rupees. So same for all these packages, 10% deduction upon using my code MSRW1. Also, if you take any subscription that is of length greater than 6 months, you can avail a no cost EMI facility. Okay, greater than or equal to 6 months subscriptions will have EMI facility for fee payment. Okay, the other kind of subscription is known as Iconic. This is exclusively designed for UPSC aspirants. Okay, so this is provided to you in 3 packages: 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. And in Iconic subscription, along with all the things that you get in the plus package, you will be also getting a personal coach, daily mains answer writing practice, study planner, and personalized feedback sessions. Clear? So all these are provided to you if you go for an Unacademy Iconic subscription. So here also you can use my code MSRW1 in order to get 10% discount. Okay, now as far as the optional courses are concerned, these are the package rates. Okay, 1 month it is 5,000. 1 year optional will cost you around 27,500 rupees. I mean optional course alone. Okay, not GS. And again, if you use my code MSRW1, you can get 10% discount and has to pay only 24,750. Okay, so here also for all the courses that are more than 6 months of time or more than or equal to 6 months of time, you can avail no cost EMI facility. Okay, so that is it regarding the Unacademy subscription rates. So please do get a subscription and use my code MSRW1 to avail 10% off. Now this is a peek into my Unacademy channel where I have already conducted some sessions. I am currently taking the world history sessions there. You can go back and watch some of the videos. We have already completed a lot there. Okay, I mean we have finished up to World-2. Today we are actually looking at United Nations organization. Okay, at 8 PM every day. Anyway, let's start with the session for the day, that is nationalism in India. Okay, so Indian national movement, we will be looking some of the very important events in this time period. Okay, anyway, let's begin. So in the previous class, in chapter number 1, we saw some important advancements that has happened in Europe. Okay, the modernization, the nationalism in Europe, what happened, unification of Germany, unification of Italy, then formation of nation states. Okay, we saw how French Revolution started all these things, how Napoleon Bonaparte undid a lot of things. Then later Congress of Vienna, again undoing what Napoleon Bonaparte did. Okay, but eventually people like Bismarck unifying Germany, Mazzini, Cavour, etc., Garibaldi, and these kinds of people unifying Italy. Okay, eventually everything leads to World War I. So we saw the rise of nationalism followed by the rise of nation states in the European continent. We also studied that there were repercussions of these movements across the globe. Okay, across the globe there were repercussions of what happened in Europe, and India also. We see that the Indian national movement took inspiration from Europeans. Okay, so the French Revolution has actually inspired Indian freedom fighters as well. For example, Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan was a very pro-French. He was actually, a member of Jacobin Club. He planted the tree of liberty in Srirangapatnam. Similarly, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a person who actually, got inspired from the French ideals of liberty, equality, etc., etc. Okay, so there has been repercussions all over the world. So India also started developing these trends of nationalism. Clear? So this nationalism was eventually used to overthrow imperialism. Okay, in Europe, nationalism and imperialism clubbed together, and this led to conquering various colonies across the globe. But in India, the nationalistic leaders used the spirit of nationalism in order to overpower the imperialistic rule of Britain. Clear? Now we are going to see what all things happened in India. So the first point we already discussed, what happened in Europe. So change in people's understanding on who they were, okay, and what defined their identity and the sense of belonging. These were the effects of nationalism. People started to think about themselves. I mean, who were they? Okay, and what defined their identity? So these kinds of questions or these kinds of realizations happened as a result of the rise of nationalism. In India, the growth of modern nationalism is intimately connected with anti-colonial movement. Okay, that spirit of a nation, the people coming together, was actually a part of unifying against a common enemy, that is British. Okay, until the British came to India and started to mess with Indian princes and princely states, India was actually divided into many small kingdoms and nations. Okay, there was no India before Britain came to Hindustan. This entire subcontinent is referred to as India for easy understanding of the topic. But you have to understand that the nation of India did not exist when British came to this place, this subcontinent. Okay, so it was the British which actually became the common enemy for every one of these natives, which eventually led to the rise of a country called India. Okay. Hello Raja. Yeah, okay, that's okay. This is important for all of you. I mean, I'm teaching for UPSC. At the same time, you can use this for your preparations for the board exam, 10th standard. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. So, Congress, International Congress under Mahatma Gandhi tried to forge these groups together into a single movement. So, in the previous year's textbook, that is the standard 9th textbook, we saw how International Congress was born. We saw how it eventually became, a very important organization as far as Indian national movement is concerned. It was eventually ruled by moderates. Later on, it became, closely associated with the extremist leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Roy, Bipin Chandra Pal, etc., etc. And we saw the Swadeshi movement. And later, the partition of Bengal and the annulment of the partition of Bengal. And finally, in 1915, Mahatma Gandhi came back from South Africa to India. Okay, so up till here we saw all these events in the 9th standard text. In the 8th standard textbook. Now we are going to see what happened after 1920s, after the arrival of Mahatma Gandhi into India. Okay, so Congress and Mahatma Gandhi was determined to unite all these people together into a single mass movement. Okay, we are actually going to witness the strength of a mass movement. This is Mahatma Gandhi's biggest contribution to Indian independence struggle, converting the Indian independence struggle into a mass movement. Okay, so how the Congress sought to develop the national movement, how different social groups participated in the movement, how nationalism captured the imagination of people. These kinds of questions will be answered within this chapter. Okay, we are going to look in depth regarding these topics. So first thing first, the First World War, the Khilafat and non-cooperation movement. Okay, so in 1915, Mahatma Gandhi arrived in India, but instead of directly getting into Indian politics, he spent the first 1 year touring and traveling across India. He wanted to know what the people of India thought. He wanted to study India by his own, in his own perspective. So between 1915 and 1916, we do not see Mahatma Gandhi engaging in many public appearances. Okay, but from 1917 onwards, the things changes. Clear? But let's see the overall picture or what was happening in India at this time when Mahatma Gandhi arrived. Okay, so after 1919, national movement was spreading to new areas, incorporating new social groups and developing new modes of struggle. So what is this after 1919? 1919 year is very important for India as well as the world. As far as India is concerned, this is the time Jallianwala Bagh happened. This is the time Rowlatt Act was passed and the Mahatma Gandhi performed the Rowlatt Act, Rowlatt Satyagraha, etc., etc. But as far as the world is concerned, this year marks the end of First World War. Okay, so all across the globe, after 1919, we actually see a lot of developments in all areas of life. Clear? Also, this World War created a new economic and political situation in India. Okay, so what was the issue here? Britain actually dragged India into World War I. India has nothing to do directly with World War I. It was Britain who fought this war along the Allies. So what did Britain do now? Britain dragged India also for war by exploiting its resources, by recruiting from Indian villages, etc., etc. So the defense budget became extremely big. Okay, the expenditure into defense was extremely high, and this was financed by war loans and increasing taxes upon Indian people. So Indian people were extremely taxed. Sir, how can I learn dates in history? Rajaram, actually, if you are preparing for NCERT, the best way to learn dates is to create a story. Okay, I mean, you can just put down the year or whatever the full date or the year, just put it in a chart, and adjacent to that write the what all happened in that year, and then study it as a story. Otherwise it won't stick to your memory. Okay, I mean, studying individual dates here and there, it is extremely difficult. You have to paste a list of dates together in your cupboard or in your a wall or something like that, and make a story out of it. That is the easiest way. But if you are preparing for UPSC civil service examination, then you do not have to study date. Okay, dates are not important. All you have to study is chronology. You have to be able to identify what happened after what. Okay, but exact date is not necessary for civil service examination. Alright, let's continue. So this war had such huge economic and political repercussions in India. So British began to tax the Indians. So prices of these goods increased and also forced recruitment in rural areas. So I mean, obviously there was need of manpower in the war. So British was trying to recruit Indians also, and they did not took Indians voluntarily. Rather than doing it as a in a voluntary fashion, Britain actually forced Indians to join the military. All these together started a high amount of resentment against British in India. Okay, so Britain's behavior after the end of First World War was one of the reasons which angered the Indian people to rise up against Britain 1 year later in the non-cooperation movement. We will see how it began and who all led these movements in just a minute. Okay, so anyway, between 1918 and 1919 and 1920 and 21, India also suffered some kind of a famine. Okay, crops started failing all over the country because of some climatic issues, etc., etc. And this was also capped by spread of a very infamous virus, influenza epidemic. Okay, just like in 2020, we are suffering from COVID pandemic. Back in 1920s also, there was a widespread disease known as influenza epidemic, swine flu. Okay, so at that time, many lives were lost, people were in misery, and all this eventually led the people rise up against colonial power. Also, we see that this is the time when Mahatma Gandhi came to India. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi came to India, and this platform was perfectly set for Mahatma Gandhi to take up the movement to the next level. Okay, we are going to see how his idea of satyagraha was implemented in India. Alright, so before coming to India, Mahatma Gandhi was in South Africa. Okay, he was in South Africa, and there also he was not idle or anything. He was actually fighting for the people who were considered as inferior based on racism. Okay, I mean in South Africa at that time we see the apartheid and all those kinds of racial discriminations. So Mahatma Gandhi was fighting for them in South Africa against the British regime. Clear? So here in South Africa only, he actually managed to create a method of mass agitation. It is not exactly satyagraha, but the roots of Mahatma Gandhi's idea of a satyagraha starts from South Africa. Okay, so before coming to India itself, in South Africa, he managed to lead mass agitations. Clear? So when he came to India, this was his major contribution. So according to Mahatma Gandhi, satyagraha emphasized the power of truth and the need to search for truth. And if the cause was true, if the struggle was against injustice, then physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. Okay, this is why we, in a very layman's term, we say that satyagraha is a combination of truth and non-violence. Okay, so why? Because according to Mahatma Gandhi, satyagraha was a search for truth. Satya means truth. Agraha means searching. So it is a searching for truth. But this search can actually be done in a non-violent manner. Clear? And if it is done for justice, then Mahatma Gandhi believed that even without the use of weapons, we can actually win this war. Clear? So this is the concept of satyagraha. So without seeking vengeance or being aggressive, a satyagrahi could win the battle using non-violence by appealing to the concerns of the oppressor. And we see that throughout his campaign, throughout his political career, Mahatma Gandhi always sticks with this concept or this ideology of truth and non-violence. Okay, so after coming to India, as I told you, between 1915 and 1916, Mahatma Gandhi toured all across India. Okay, he went to different parts of the country to understand what the Indian people want, understand the misery of Indian people by himself. Okay, but finally in 1917, Mahatma Gandhi made the first satyagraha in India, that is Champaran Satyagraha. Okay, so in 1917, in Bihar, what happened now? Peasants were unable to, peasants were unable to pay revenue towards British. British increased the revenue on top of peasants. Okay, the indigo planters of Bihar was asked to pay a huge revenue. Also, they were forced to cultivate indigo in their lands by British. Okay, so this eventually led to a commotion. We will study this later in another year textbook in depth. At that time, I will explain it more. For now, understand that the indigo planters, indigo peasants in Bihar was actually oppressed by British people. Okay, so Mahatma Gandhi was brought into Bihar in this place known as Champaran to formulate a solution. Clear? To formulate a cause for these peasants. And this satyagraha was a success. Mahatma Gandhi managed to get justice for these peasants. So this was a huge success. Number one, this is his first satyagraha. Okay. Second one happened in the Kheda district of Gujarat. Okay, so in Gujarat, what was happening now? At this time, a plague occurred. Alright, and when the plague occurred, people were extremely in a miserable state. They were unable to pay their dues, their revenue, their taxes towards Britain. And at this time, British actually insisted upon increasing the tax. People were already in misery and they couldn't even pay the regular tax. And Britain actually wanted an increase in tax. Okay, so the people at Kheda started protesting, and this also was led by Mahatma Gandhi, and this also was a success. Third one was in 1918. This happened in Ahmedabad. Okay, this is also commonly known as Ahmedabad Mill Strike. You might have heard of this, Ahmedabad Mill Strike. So in this strike, again, the workers of the mill or the Ahmedabad cotton textiles mill was actually oppressed by British rulers, the industrialists or British. And here also Mahatma Gandhi was brought in to find a justice for the mill workers, and here also Mahatma Gandhi won. Okay, so this is how Mahatma Gandhi enters into Indian politics. All his initial satyagrahas were actually success. Clear? We have to study all this in detail, that we will do in a later textbook when we study the Spectrum textbook or our Bipin Chandra Sir's textbook. We will study all this in detail. But for now, understand that Mahatma Gandhi became a very well-known, powerful figure in India within the first 2 years of his arrival. Okay, through these three satyagrahas, Mahatma Gandhi was one of the prominent personalities in India. So people knew his name across India. Although he was in South Africa till 1915, by 1918, everybody in India knew his name. Clear? Also, I would like to add a couple of points here. Champaran Satyagraha of Bihar is Mahatma Gandhi's first non-corporation movement. Okay, sorry, not non-corporation, civil disobedience movement. Okay, then Kheda Satyagraha is Mahatma Gandhi's first non-corporation movement. Okay, and Ahmedabad Mill Strike is his first hunger strike. Clear? These questions can come for UPSC prelims. Champaran Satyagraha is the first civil disobedience movement of Mahatma Gandhi. Kheda Satyagraha is the first non-corporation movement. And finally, Ahmedabad Mill Strike is the first hunger strike of Mahatma. Okay? Now, after this strike, the next prominent satyagraha offered by Mahatma Gandhi is known as the Rowlatt Satyagraha. So before talking about Rowlatt Satyagraha, you have to know what Rowlatt Act is. Rowlatt Act was passed by Britain in 1919. Okay, not by Britain, by the colonial rulers in 1919. So in the Legislative Assembly of the British, in the British Legislative Assembly that was set up to rule India, all the Indian members of this assembly unanimously opposed this act. Okay, only the British nominees and the British officials supported this act. But anyway, the act was passed, and based on this act, British had the power to repress political activities. They can arrest anyone and keep them in prison without trial for a period of 2 years. Which means what? All the civil liberties were actually curtailed for Indian citizens. Okay, based on Rowlatt Act, the civil liberties of Indian citizens were taken away by Britain. So this angered the people of India, and they together rose in something known as the Rowlatt Satyagraha. This was again led by Mahatma Gandhi, and in this satyagraha, Mahatma Gandhi insisted upon maintaining non-violence and at the same time doing civil disobedience. Okay, civil disobedience means what? Not paying taxes, doing anything that is contradicting to the British rule. Okay, if British asked to use foreign goods, then we should actually abandon foreign goods. Similarly, if British asked to pay you tax, we shouldn't pay tax. That is known as civil disobedience. So Mahatma Gandhi combined non-violence and civil disobedience together in the Rowlatt Satyagraha. And on April 6th, of 1919, there was a very peaceful hartal based on Mahatma Gandhi's insistence. Okay, but once this Rowlatt Satyagraha started, more and more people started joining this Satyagraha. Okay, all across India, many people started joining this, and this actually started frightening the British. British were afraid of what was going on. India is actually uniting behind one man. Okay, so this made the British afraid. In April 13, you know what happened? The infamous Jallianwala Bagh. Okay, so April 13, 1919 was actually a Baishakhi fair in Amritsar. Baishakhi means it's a festival fair that was going on at a place known as Jallianwala Bagh, and there were people from nearby states also coming to this fair because it's a very popular event. Okay, problem was the people who were coming from other areas did not know that 144 was imposed in Jallianwala Bagh. What is CRPC 144? According to it, people cannot, more than 4 people cannot stand together at one place. There were many restrictions on civil liberties based on CRPC 144. So this was actually imposed, or a martial law was actually imposed in Jallianwala Bagh at this time. So people who were coming from adjacent states did not know about this. So they gathered together in huge numbers within this park. Okay, I mean it was a fair, not at all a protest or anything. It was basically a fair. Okay, so this is the time when an infamous British general known as Colonel Dyer, or General Dyer, not Colonel, he is General. General Dyer came to Jallianwala Bagh and he opened fire on Indian people. Okay, he closed the only gate out of this park and he opened fire on the Indian natives. Clear? And this eventually led to the death of many people, and this was a very highly infamous event throughout India. So Mahatma Gandhi very soon called off Rowlatt Satyagraha movement. Okay, when the Jallianwala Bagh happened, upon hearing this news, people in different parts of the country started rising violence against Britain. Okay, they abandoned non-violence, and many violent events occurred all across India after Jallianwala Bagh incident. Okay, so upon seeing this, Mahatma Gandhi called off the Rowlatt Satyagraha because he was never in conformation with people using violence. Clear? So this Rowlatt Satyagraha was called off. Now, one thing to note here, very important thing, it is Rowlatt Satyagraha was mostly limited to cities and towns. Okay, although this is one of the pan-India satyagrahas that happened in India at that time, still rural participation was mostly absent. It was confined within the cities and towns. Clear? So Mahatma Gandhi wanted to increase the base of his mass movements. Or the urban people joining is fine, but we also need the rural people. So what did he do now? When he got an opportunity a couple of years later, he assured that every section of Indian society united behind him. Okay, so after the end of First World War in 1919, a very famous treaty was signed. This is known as the Treaty of Versailles. According to this treaty, the losing parties were given very, very harsh treatment. Especially Germany was disintegrated or cut down into various states. One of the losing parties after the end of First World War was Ottoman Empire. Okay, the Ottoman Empire, which was actually ruled by the spiritual head of Islamic world, also known as Khalifa. Okay, so when Britain imposed harsh treaties into this Ottoman Empire or harsh treaties into Khalifa, the Muslims in India considered this as a threat to their religion. Okay, they considered it as an offense to their religion. Clear? So Indians actually formed something known as a Khilafat Committee. Khilafat Committee was formed in Bombay in March 1990 by two people, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. So these two people came together and they formed the Khilafat Committee. Okay, and Mahatma Gandhi used this as an opportunity to bring Muslims under the umbrella of a unified national movement. Okay, Indian National Congress is already there and Muslim League is there as a separate body. Now, in order to bring all of them together, Mahatma Gandhi saw Khilafat movement as an opportunity. Clear? And this is the time the Congress session at Calcutta happened. In the Calcutta session of Indian National Congress in September 1920, non-cooperation movement was suggested by Mahatma Gandhi in support of Khilafat as well as Swaraj. Clear? So Mahatma Gandhi used this platform, used this scenario to his advantage, to to take advantage of this scenario to implement a mass national movement, and it was a success. So why non-cooperation? Okay, so in his one of the very famous publications of Mahatma Gandhi, known as Hind Swaraj of 1909, Mahatma Gandhi declared that British rule was established in India with the cooperation of Indians and had survived only because of this cooperation. Okay, in his publication, Mahatma Gandhi actually argued that British rule was established in India with the cooperation of Indians, and it can stand or it can survive only with that cooperation. So basically what he is saying is, without Indians or without the cooperation of Indians, there is no way Britain can survive in India. Clear? So the non-cooperation movement actually was launched in 1920, and it began with the surrender of titles. Okay, various titles were surrendered. Civil services was actually boycotted. Army, police, courts, legislative councils, schools, foreign goods, everything was boycotted. Okay, so this was a very mass struggle. Various sections of the society participated in this with very enthusiasm, high enthusiasm. Okay, so the plan was, if the government uses repression or uses oppressive methods in order to contain this struggle, then civil disobedience campaign will also be launched. That was the ideology, right? That was the plan. Although it did not happen, that was the plan. So as usual, British government used repressive measures in order to put a stop to the non-cooperation movement. Okay, but I have to add that even within the International Congress, some people were not that much pro as far as no-cooperation movement is concerned. Okay, some of the congressmen did not want that non-cooperation movement. Why? Because they feared it might lead to popular violence. That is number one. They also wanted to enter the council elections and enter the legislative body of India. Okay, provincial elections were going to happen very closely, and these people actually wanted to participate in the provincial elections. Some of the congressmen. Also, they feared that if such a mass movement has happened, such a mass movement occurs, then it can turn to a very violent movement. So some of the Congress people actually stood out of, were actually not, in support of non-cooperation movement. But anyway, in the Nagpur session of 1920, Mahatma Gandhi managed to convince everybody for this cause, and non-cooperation movement was launched in 1920. Clear? Now, we are going to see what are the different strands within the non-cooperation movement. Okay, so anyway, the non-cooperation and Khilafat movement together combined as a national movement with huge support from the masses. Okay, so various social groups participated in this. Many classes, teachers, students, lawyers, everybody came out together in support of NCM. But the problem was that each of these groups had their own concerns, their own specific aspirations for joining this movement. Okay, all of them responded to the call of Swaraj, but the term meant different for different people. Mahatma Gandhi in the non-cooperation movement was actually aiming for creating a mass movement in India. At the same time, he also wanted the Swaraj cause. But the issue is, the term Swaraj meant different things for different people. For some people, the term Swaraj meant, not paying loan, not paying taxes. For some others, it meant some kind of freedom. It was different for different sections of Indian society. We will see what it meant for various people. Okay, so the movement in the towns. So the middle class participation was actually almost complete. Okay, students came out of their schools, teachers abandoned their job and came out in the streets, lawyers stopped their practice and they also came out. Okay, so those who were participating in British institutions, all of them abandoned that and came out into this mass movement. Council elections were boycotted in most provinces except Madras. As I told you, provincial elections were happening around this time, and Congress actually boycotted these elections except in Madras. In Madras, a party known as Justice Party wanted to participate in this council elections. Why now? Because Justice Party is actually a non-Brahmin party, a party formed by non-Brahmins. Okay, and this party wanted to enter the councils and achieve powerful positions because they believed that this is one way by which they can, fight against the oppression by the Brahmins. Okay, in South India there was huge class issues going on, and Justice Party members thought this as an opportunity to fight against the Brahmanas. Clear? So apart from this exception, everywhere else, Congress boycotted council elections. Foreign goods were boycotted. Liquor shops were picketed. Foreign clothes were burned in huge bonfires. Okay. Also, import of foreign materials declined a lot. So all these actually caused trouble to Britain, but at the same time was an boon to the Indian people. Why? Because production of Indian textile mills and handlooms went up. When the British goods became low in the economy, it was a vacuum that could be filled by Indian goods. So more and more Indian textile mills and handlooms started coming up in the Indian markets. Clear? But there was an issue. What is the issue? Indian goods or the handmade clothes are actually expensive. You know that, na? Handlooms are very expensive compared to machine-made clothes. Okay, so the khadi cloth was often very, very expensive and people cannot afford this. The common man, the poor man cannot afford khadi cloth. Also, lack of alternative Indian institutions. Students came out of the British schools. Teachers resigned their jobs in British schools. Lawyers came out of the courts that were, under the British government. But now where do they go? What is the alternative they have in front of them? Nothing. Okay, Indian national movement had not. India did not had an alternative to this at this particular time. So more and more people who came out started going back to their own institutions. They believed that, they understood that we do not have an alternative. So if you want to earn money, then you have to be somewhere else. And as there is nowhere else to go, they went back to their initial institutions, that is managed by Britain. Okay. Now we see how was the rebellion in the countryside. So in the cities and towns, it was like this. As far as the countryside is concerned, countryside means the rural areas, the outskirts of the cities. Okay. So here also NCM spread in a very wide fashion. Remember, Rowlatt Satyagraha was confined to the cities and towns. It never got into the countryside or in the rural area. Okay. But NCM actually went to every nook and corner of the country. This spread into the countryside as well. And spreading of NCM within the rural areas brought peasants and tribals into the national movement. Okay, for example, in Oudh, peasants were actually led by a person known as Baba Ramchandra. Okay, and here the cause was against talukdars and landlords and the abolition of beggar. Beggars, according to beggar system, the peasants were actually forced to work for the landlord without any kind of payment. This is known as the beggar system. So these people wanted abolition of beggar system. Also, they wanted to fight against talukdars and landlords who were actually oppressing them. Clear? So here the NCM was taking a form as an anti-landlord kind of movement. It is not against the British. It is against the landlord. That is what I told. In different parts of India, the purpose of this revolt or why people revolted was different. The reason for this revolt in different part of India was actually different. Clear? So in Oudh, it was led by Baba Ramchandra. So as a result of this, Oudh Kisan Sabha was set up. This was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru and Baba Ramchandra and few others. Okay. Finally, in 1921, houses of talukdars and merchants were attacked. Bazaars were looted. Grain hoarders were taken over. So this movement began to become more and more violent. As I have explained to you, Mahatma Gandhi and the International Congress was not in support of anything violent at this time. Alright, so even though Mahatma Gandhi was against this kind of violence, people used his name in order to get more traction. Okay, so the name of Mahatma Gandhi was being invoked to sanction all actions and aspirations. Clear? Although they went to violent methods, they actually used the name of Mahatma in order to get sanctions for whatever they did. Clear? So Mahatma Gandhi's name was actually used against his own ideals in this particular movement, in out. Okay. Also, at a place called Gaudam Hills of Andhra Pradesh, a militant guerrilla movement happened around this time. And this was led by a very famous personality known as Alluri Sitaramaraju. Okay, Alluri Sitaramaraju led a militant guerrilla movement in Andhra Pradesh at this time. Again, here also you have to understand, although Mr. Raju is actually a follower of Mahatma Gandhi and he was inspired by NCM, he actually was against non-violence. He believed in the use of force to achieve the goals. Okay, so Alluri Sitaramaraju proclaimed himself as some kind of god. Okay, he actually said that he will not die if he was shot with bullets, etc., etc. He said that he can predict various things, blah blah blah. Okay, and he actually made himself a god man, and the people of Andhra Pradesh actually believed in him. They thought that he was an incarnation of some god. Okay, but what happened now? Once the movement became militant, British also started putting more and more military in place. Eventually, Mr. Raju was caught and executed. Okay, I mean, if he may have been a self-proclaimed god man, but that doesn't mean bullets won't kill him. So eventually, Mr. Raju died. Okay, so these are the instances where NCM actually turned violent. Okay, another example, the Swaraj in plantations. So we saw what happened in towns and cities. We saw what happened in the outskirts of the cities, that is rural area. And now we are going to see what happened in plantations. So in plantations means what? Just like the Assam tea plantation, rubber plantations in Kerala. Okay, so these are the areas we are talking about. So Inland Emigration Act was passed in 1859. Back in 1859. According to this act, plantation workers were not permitted to leave the area without permission. Okay, so without permission, they cannot leave this area. Plantation workers were actually from different parts of the country who were all brought into these plantations offering various kinds of things. But once they came there, they understood that their living condition is miserable there. Also, they cannot go back. They cannot leave the place without permission. And it was very rarely British allowed planters to go back. I mean, plantation workers to go back. Okay, so this was Inland Emigration Act of 1859. So when the NCM happened, for the plantation workers, this was an opportunity to fight for their cause. And their cause is to go back home. Clear? To escape from these plantations. So, during the time of NCM, thousands of workers defied the authorities. They left the plantations and headed home. Clear? So, they thought that British Raj is going to end and Gandhi Raj is going to come. Okay, so they believed in Gandhi Raj. But what was the problem now? None of these plantation workers actually made it to their homes. In between itself, they were arrested, they were caught and they were punished. Okay. Also, visions of these movements were not defined by the International Congress programs. As I have told you, we have seen some examples of violent movements as a part of NCM. You have to understand that both Mahatma Gandhi and the International Congress were against any kind of violent activities in these movements. Okay, so these visions or visions of these movements were not accepted by International Congress. Also, people in different parts of the country interpreted Swaraj in their own ways. So in towns, they wanted some cause. In the outskirts of the cities, they wanted some other cause. In the plantations, they had their own specific cause. Okay, so in different parts of the country, the people had their own specific grievances or specific reasons for joining the NCM. Their idea of Swaraj was different. There was no common definition as such. Okay. Now, in 1922, as a progression of these violent events that happened, a very infamous event happened. This is known as the Chauri Chaura incident. Okay, Chauri Chaura incident happened in February 1922. And in this incident, a group of protesters burned a police station at a place known as Chauri Chaura. And when they did that, 22 police officers who were inside this police station were also burned to death. Okay, so when Mahatma Gandhi heard about this news, he decided to withdraw NCM. He understood that the people of India is not yet ready for a non-violent movement. People of India hasn't actually grasped the idea of non-violence, the idea of satyagraha. Okay, so he decided to withdraw the NCM. Clear? Once this was done, I mean, this earned a lot of criticism for Mahatma Gandhi. We will see about that in a later textbook. Okay, but anyway, after the withdrawal of NCM, Congress was in a split kind of state. Some of the Congress leaders wanted to participate in elections. Some others wanted to boycott elections. Okay, so there were people who were pro council entry and there were another section who were against council entry. Clear? And the people who actually wanted to enter the councils and want to disrupt the government from inside the council, these people were known as pro-changers. Okay, these people are known as pro-changers. So these pro-changers included people like C.R. Das or Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru. Okay, so these people who wanted to enter the council had a difference of opinion with the major portion of International Congress, and there occurred a split. I mean, the Congress did not split itself, but within the Congress party, a new sub-party was formed. This party came to be known as the Swarajist Party. Okay, so C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru formed the Swarajist Party within the Indian National Congress. Clear? Now, the council, I mean, the elections were conducted, and these pro-changers or the Swarajist Party gained a lot of seats. Clear? And what the Indian national movement was going on. We have to study some more events in around this time, but that is beyond the scope of this particular textbook. So we will study that in a later textbook. Anyway, in 1927, British cabinet approved a statutory commission known as Simon Commission. Simon Commission was appointed by Britain in 1927. Why? In order to study about the effects or what was happening in accordance with the Government of India Act of 1990. So, according to the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1990, there was a clause in that reform which stated that after a period of 10 years, a commission will be set for studying the progress of governance in India. Okay, the progress of how effectively the 1919 Government of India Act was implemented. This would be studied by a commission. This was the clause. Based on this clause, Sir John Simon was sent into India with a team by the British cabinet in order to look into the function of the constitutional system in India and suggest changes. Clear? This is known as Simon Commission. But problem was that this commission did not even had a single Indian member. Clear? It was a full white commission. No Indian member was a part of Simon Commission. So this is the time when all of the Indians together unite and shout the slogan, "Go back Simon." Okay, nobody was supporting this Simon Commission. Everybody united together. All the parties, including Indian National Congress and Muslim League, everybody together opposed this Simon Commission. Okay, so during the Lathi charges that happened as a part of this opposition and demonstrations, Lala Lajpat Roy got a severe blow in his chest and eventually he died. Okay, that was in this particular event. Now, Simon Commission was a total failure. I mean, Simon Commission did their job. They came to India, they studied the constitutional setup, they gave their report. But problem was that in India, still these struggles or these incidents were going on. So finally, in October 1929, Lord Irwin came up with some offers for India. Okay, October 29, Lord Irwin, who was the Viceroy of India at this time, he came up with some vague offers. He offered dominion status to India in an unspecified future. Okay, he said that British will grant you dominion status, but he did not say when. No time limit was set up. Also, he proposed a roundtable conference to discuss the future of the constitution. Roundtable conference between Indian members as well as the British. Clear? But International Congress was not satisfied with this. Also, Congress had some energetic radical men at this time, such as Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, and these people did not want anything less than freedom. Okay, they were not contented with the the proposals made by Lord Irwin. I mean, dominion status, that is, that too, not sure when it would be granted. Also, a roundtable conference to discuss future of the constitution. Okay, discuss the future of constitution means what? Indians are, if it is a constitution set up by Indians for India, then we can discuss. But this is actually made by British. And what is there to discuss for some other country interfering with our nation? That was the question. So these kinds of radical leaders of International Congress came together and started voicing their opinions. And these opinions started gaining traction. Clear? So others, the liberals and the moderates, gradually lost their influence. Okay, those people who are in the International Congress, who were predominantly liberals and moderates, they eventually lost their position. Finally, in December 1929, in a very historic session of International Congress, that is also known as the Lahore session. Okay, it happened in the province of Lahore, which is in Pakistan right now. So in this session, Purna Swaraj was demanded by the Congress for the first time. Okay, December 1929, Lahore session of International Congress, which was presided over by Jawaharlal Nehru. Purna Swaraj was demanded by International Congress from the British. Okay, also they decided to celebrate January 26th the next year. January 26, 1930 was supposed to be celebrated as Independence Day of India. Okay, they demanded Purna Swaraj, which means complete independence. Also, they decided to celebrate Jan 1930 26th as their Independence Day. You have to understand here that although Indian Constitution was completed in 1949 November 26th, India was not made, or India was not converted or declared into a republic until January 26, 1950. Why? Because this date was referenced from the Lahore session. Okay, according to Lahore session, 26 January 1930 was supposed to be the India's Independence Day. In order to commemorate this event, eventually it was decided to celebrate India's Republic Day on January 26, 1930, although the constitution was ready 2 months before. Okay, now we have to see what are the other events that happened. So immediately after this Purna Swaraj declaration in the Lahore session of International Congress, something else happened. In January 31st, 1930, Mahatma Gandhi wrote a letter to Viceroy Irwin. Okay, Lord Irwin was the Viceroy in India at that time. Mahatma Gandhi wrote a letter to him stating some 11 demands. Okay, these demands were specific. Some demands were specific, some were general demands. Okay, but among these demands, the most important one was the abolition of salt tax. Okay, at that time in India, there was a monopoly of salt by Britain. Also, those who prepared or produced salt of their own were taxed heavily. Okay, and Mahatma Gandhi considered this as an insult to India. Why? Because salt is used by everyone. It is used by the rich people, it is used by the poor people. So this is something that affected every individual in India, irrespective of any kind of discrimination. Okay, so Mahatma Gandhi wanted this salt tax to be abolished. But Lord Irwin was not willing to negotiate. Okay, Irwin was not ready to look into any of these demands put forth by Mahatma Gandhi. So he started the historic Dundee March. So along with Mahatma Gandhi, 78 of his volunteers also joined, and they walked over 240 miles from Sabarmati to Dundee. Clear? And they completed this in 24 days. So one day, 10 miles. That was the target. And eventually, Mahatma Gandhi, along with his followers, reached the Dundee beach, where he actually broke the salt law. He ceremoniously violated the salt law on 6th of April, and this marked the beginning of civil disobedience movement. Okay, breaking of the salt law by Mahatma Gandhi in 6th April 1930 was the beginning of CDM, civil disobedience movement. Okay, so in this movement, people not only refused to cooperate with Britain, but also they were asked to break the colonial laws. Clear? This is not NCM. NCM was something from the past, that is finished in 1920. In CDM, they had to follow non-cooperation, but at the same time, they have to break colonial laws. That is how civil disobedience is manifested. Okay, so foreign clothes were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, Peasants refused to pay revenue and chowkidari tax. Village officials resigned. Forest people violated the forest laws. So everywhere some kind of violations or some kind of civil disobedience manifested throughout the country. Clear? Now, as a part of this, I mean, whenever Indians rose against the British, they dealt with Indians using severe repression. So here also we see that lots and lots of arrests were made. There were violent clashes altogether. British followed the policy of brutal repression. And around this time, Mahatma Gandhi decided to call off this movement and he entered into a pact with Lord Irwin. Okay, on 5th March 1931, Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Irwin together signed what is known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. We have to study the details of Gandhi-Irwin Pact, but that is not in this particular textbook. So I am not explaining it right now. We will study that when we reach the 12th standard textbook. Okay. So in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Gandhiji said, consented to participate in the Round Table Conference. He said that he will participate in the RTM in London, and the government in their part agreed to release all the political prisoners who were not convicted of violence. Okay, release all political prisoners who are not convicted of violence. That is very important. That is not given in the NCERT textbook, but this addition is very important. Clear? So this was the agreement between Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Irwin. There are other pacts, other clauses also that is beyond the scope of this particular book. Okay. Anyway, Mahatma Gandhi went into London as agreed and he participated in the second roundtable conference, but it was a bust. Okay. In December 1931, the negotiations of the second roundtable conference broke down. Okay. And when Mahatma Gandhi returned back to India, he witnessed that a fresh cycle of repression was started by Britain towards Indian people. Okay, Indian National Congress was declared as an illegal society. Clear? So all these made Mahatma Gandhi relaunch CDM. So CDM or the Civil Disobedience Movement, although it was called off as a part of Gandhi-Irwin Pact, it was relaunched by Mahatma Gandhi in 1931 when he came back to India. Problem was that within a very short time, within 1 year, CDM was again wrapped up and it eventually died out. Okay, now we have to see how did the people react to CDM. How did various kinds of people react to CDM? Earlier we saw how different sections of India participated in the civil disobedience, non-cooperation movement. Now we are going to see how they participated in the civil disobedience movement. Okay, before that, now it is 5 p.m. It is 4 minutes past 5. So I have told you we will be looking into a quiz today at 5 p.m. So we will just move on to that. Okay. I request all of you to take your Unacademy learning app and join this quiz. We will continue this rest of this chapter after that quiz. Okay. I mean there is only some more portions to go. That will be done afterwards this quiz. Kindly, I request all of you to take Unacademy learning app and join the quiz. I will start the quiz within a very short time. So in order to participate, please download Unacademy learning app and inside that hit the test tab and hit the join quiz button and enter this code 499043. Okay, let me just set it up. The quiz will begin within 2 minutes. Okay, all of you can participate. There is no payment or anything like that. Just download the app and join this quiz. Under the test tab, hit the join quiz button and enter this code 499043. Okay. Yeah, 2 people have so far joined. I am going to start this quiz immediately. Okay. I request all of you to participate. Anyway, I am beginning this quiz. Okay. It is 5:05 now. Here we go. Those who wish to participate can join in between. The topic of this quiz is polity. We have completed up to CDM and we are going to see how the people reacted to CDM. Okay, that is the only portion left. So here is the first question. Consider the following statements about difference between the terms state and government. 1. The government has the authority inherent in itself, while the state gets its authority from the constitution. 2. The state is a larger entity and government is an essential organ of the state. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Those who wish to participate in this quiz, kindly download Unacademy Learning app and under the test tab, hit the join quiz button and enter this code 499043. This is absolutely free. All of you can participate. So the first question has been completed. Yeah, 100%. Only one person entered this quiz so far. I request others also to join. Okay. Second question. Consider the following statements with respect to preamble to the Indian Constitution. 1. Preamble can be freely amended like any other feature of the Constitution. 2. Amendability of preamble is out of the purview of judicial review. 3. The words socialist, secular and federal are added to preamble by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. Which of the above statements is or are correct? I request everybody to join this quiz. That's the third question coming up. So 2 questions done. Nobody getting that right. Still only one participant. I request others also to join. Okay. Moving on. Question number 3. With reference to Election Commission of India, consider the following statements. While ECI is empowered to register a political party, it is not empowered to deregister a political party on the grounds of violating Constitution. 2. Election Commission of India is empowered to settle disputes related to allotment of election symbols to political parties. Which of the given statements is or are correct? Okay, 1 second. Some connection issues are there. I will be back within a short span. Just wait. Yeah, internet connection, some issues with network, sorry for that. Yeah, fourth question. With reference to money bill, consider the following statements. It can be introduced only on recommendation of the president. 2. It can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. 3. Rajya Sabha can make recommendations regarding the money bill. Which of these statements is or are correct? Okay, so this is a polity quiz that is going on. Now this question is based on money bill. Okay, so nobody getting that. Still only one person. Okay, one person got it. Vishnu actually managed to get it right. So now his point is 124. Others still yet to open their account. Question number 5. Consider the following statements. 1. Constitution of India makes no mention of parliamentary committees. 2. 2/3 of the total members of a standing committee of parliament is required for quorum to constitute a sitting of the committee. Choose the correct answer. Okay, Constitution of India makes no mention of parliamentary committees. That is 1. Number 2. 2/3 of the total members of a standing committee of parliament is required for quorum to constitute a sitting of the committee. Which of these statements is or are correct? No one getting it. Moving on. Next question. And I request all of you to participate in this quiz via the Unacademy Learning app. Okay, the quiz is started. We will continue with the history session right afterwards this quiz. But as I have informed you, every Tuesday we have this quiz. Okay, so question number 6. The freedom of religion as provided under Article 25 and 26 is or are subject of which of the reasonable restrictions? 1. Public health. 2. Public order. 3. Morality. Choose the correct answer. In order to participate in this quiz, all you have to do is download Unacademy Learning app and under the test tab, hit the join quiz button and give this code 499043. This is absolutely free. All of you can participate. Okay, I request all of you to join because the answers will be given in the app only. Okay, so please join via the Unacademy Learning app. We have about 50 questions, so there is enough time. Kindly join. 7th question. With reference to Financial Stability and Development Council, consider the following statements. 1. It is an organ of Niti Aayog. 2. It is headed by Union Finance Minister. 3. It monitors macroprudential supervision of economy. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Okay, regarding Financial Stability and Development Council, FSDC, which of these statements is or are correct? It is an organ of Niti Aayog, monitored by Union Finance Minister, it supervises the economic activities. Correct answer option C. Okay, Vishnu has gained lots of points now. Nobody else has joined yet. Kindly, those viewers who are still in YouTube, please join this quiz via the Unacademy Learning app. Question 8. Consider the following statements. Number 1. National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, NPPA, is a statutory body that controls the prices of pharmaceutical drugs in India. 2. NPPA is under the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Choose the correct answer. Okay, regarding National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, which of these statements given above is or are correct? Question number 8. Time is up. Correct answer is option D. Yeah, now Sanskar Jain has also joined. Thank you, Sanskar. Others also kindly join. Question number 9. Consider the following statements. Number 1. The Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006 replaced the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act of 1954. 2. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is under the charge of Director General of Health Services in the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Choose the correct answer. This is regarding FSSAI. Okay. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. Which of these statements is or are correct? Time is up. Correct answer option A. Nobody getting it. Moving on to next question. Question number 10. With reference to Finance Commission of India, which of the following statements is correct? Is or are is correct. Okay. Option A. It encourages the inflow of foreign capital for infrastructure development. B. It facilitates the proper distribution of finances among public sector undertakings. C. It ensures transparency in financial administration. And D. None of the statements are correct. Okay. Regarding Finance Commission of India, choose the correct answer. Time is up. Question number 10. Option D is the correct answer. Again, no one is getting that. Moving on to our next question. Question number 11 coming up. So consider the following statements related to Indian Independence Act of 1947. 1. It was based on the proposals made by Sir Stafford Cripps under the Cripps Plan. 2. India was to be governed under the provisions of this Act until the Constituent Assembly frames a new constitution. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Regarding Cripps mission, 1 second. Which of these is or are correct? Last 3 seconds. Time's up. Correct answer option D. Nobody getting that right again. Moving to question number 12. With reference to Constitution of India, consider the following statements. Number 1. No High Court shall have the jurisdiction to declare any central law to be constitutionally invalid. 2. An amendment to the Constitution of India cannot be called into question by the Supreme Court of India. Choose the correct answer. Okay, this is regarding Judiciary of India and the Constitution of India. Which of these are correct? No High Court shall have jurisdiction to declare a central law as constitutionally invalid. An amendment to the Constitution of India cannot be called into question by Supreme Court of India. Which of these statements is or are correct? Option D is the right answer. Both of them getting it. Very good. Moving on. Question number 13 is on the board. With reference to Parliament of India, which of the following parliamentary committees scrutinizes and reports to the House whether the power to make regulations, rules, sub-rules, bylaws, etc. conferred by the Constitution or delegated by the Parliament are being properly exercised by the Executive within the scope of delegation? Hello random reviews, good evening, welcome to the class. Today we are actually doing a quiz via the Unacademy learning app. Okay, we will continue with the class after this quiz. Kindly join this quiz via the Unacademy learning app. Okay. Correct answer is option B. No one getting that. That is -10 for both of them. Moving on. Others who are watching via YouTube, kindly join this quiz via the Unacademy learning app. Question 14. Which of the following correctly describes the term green channel combination? Option A. Proposed mergers of renewable energy companies with conventional energy PSUs by NITI Aayog. Option B. Automatic approvals for the merger of companies by the Competition Commission of India. Option C. Channelizing long-term global funding for promoting green energy technologies via Global Environment Facility. And the last option, shared responsibility of producer and seller to buy back the electronic waste from the customer mandated by CPCB. Which of these is or are correct? Correct answer is option A. Nobody getting that? Okay, kindly join this quiz via the Unacademy learning app using the code 499043. Question 15. Consider the following statements regarding non-confidence motion in India. Number 1. There is no mention of non-confidence motion in the Constitution of India. Number 2. A motion of no confidence can be introduced in the Lok Sabha only. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Correct answer option C. One person getting it. Vishnu, very good. Yeah, we have this quiz every Tuesday. Okay, every Tuesday we have this Unacademy app quiz that is done via YouTube. Other days it's just classes. Alright. Question 16. With reference to the reservation in promotion, which of the following statements is or are correct? 1. Creamy layer principle is to be applied in reservations for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in promotions. 2. Reservation in promotion was held to be constitutionally valid by the Supreme Court in Indira Sahini versus Union of India case. Select the correct answer. Creamy layer principle is to be applied in reservations for SC and STs in promotion. Then it was held valid in the Indira Sahini case by Supreme Court. Which is the correct answer? Option A. One only. Moving on. Next question. Question number 17. Which of the following represents an economy cut motion in Parliament? Okay. Option A. The amount of demand is reduced to ₹1. Amount of demand is reduced by a specified amount. The amount of demand be reduced by ₹100 and the amount of demand be reduced by 1000 rupees. Choose the correct answer. What do you mean by an economy cut motion in Parliament? Or what is implied by the motion of economic cut in the Parliament? Last 3 seconds. Time's running up. Correct answer option B. 33% of you getting it. Naveen has also joined this quiz. Very good, Naveen. Moving to question number 18. Consider the following statements about Constituent Assembly. 1. It held its first meeting just after the independence of India. 2. Its members were elected by the voters of India based on universal adult franchise. 3. It prepared the Constitution of India. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Alright, regarding Constituent Assembly, tell me the correct answer. Held the first meeting just after independence. Members were elected by the voters of India based on universal adult franchise. It prepared the Constitution of India. Easy question. Very simple question from your NCERT polity textbook. And correct answer option C. Very good. Vishnu still leading, closely followed by Sanskar and Naveen. Question number 19. Consider the following statements regarding Supreme Court of India. 1. All expenses of the Supreme Court are charged on the consolidated fund of the state. 2. It is the guardian of Indian Constitution. 3. It is the only court of appeal in India. Choose the correct answer. Another simple, very simple question regarding the Supreme Court of India. Which of the given statements is or are correct? 10 seconds to go. Last 3 seconds. Correct answer option B. Only one person getting it. That is Naveen. He moved to the second place now with 135 points. That's good to see. Question 20. Regarding the office of Lok Sabha Speaker, consider the following statements. 1. He or she holds the office during the pleasure of President. 2. He or she need not be a member of the House at the time of his or her election, but has to become a member of the House within 6 months from the date of his or her election. 3. If he or she intends to resign, the letter of his or her resignation has to be addressed to the Deputy Speaker. Choose the correct answer. Another simple question regarding the office of Speaker in the Indian Constitution. Which of these is or are correct? And the correct answer for question number 20 is option B. 50% of them getting it. I request the viewers in YouTube to join this quiz via the Unacademy learning app. Okay, you can also actively participate in this. All you have to do is download Unacademy learning app and under the test tab hit the join quiz button and give this code 499043. Okay, question number 21. In the Parliament of India, the purpose of an adjournment motion is dash. Option A. To allow a discussion on a definite matter of urgent public importance. B. To let opposition members collect information from the ministers. 3. Option C. To allow a reduction of specific amount in demand of grant. And option D. To postpone the proceedings to check the inappropriate or violent behavior on the part of some members. Correct answer option A. 33% getting it. Very good. Those who are watching via YouTube, this may not be visible to you. The font might be a bit small for your screen. So kindly join via the Unacademy learning app. Okay. Question number 22. How do district rural development agencies help in the reduction of rural poverty in India? 1. DRDAs act as Panchayat Raj institutions in certain specified backward regions of the country. 2. DRDAs undertake an area-specific study of the causes of poverty and malnutrition and prepare detailed remedial measures. 3. DRDAs secure intersectoral and interdepartmental coordination and cooperation. 4. Watch over and ensure effective utilization of funds. Correct answer option B again. I don't think anybody actually managed to read the questions completely. Okay, everyone went for option D, but correct answer is option B. Moving to question number 23. Consider the following statements regarding panchayats in India. 1. Grama Sabha is a village assembly consisting of all the senior citizens within an area of panchayat. 2. There shall be reservation of seats for the women in every panchayat in the proportion of their population. 3. The panchayats can be dissolved before the completion of its 5-year term. Choose the correct answer. Very simple question again. Regarding panchayats in India, which among the following statements is or are correct? And the right answer for question number 23 is option D. 33% of you getting it. That is, yes, Vishnu getting his lead better with 444 points. Closely followed by Naveen and Sanskar Jain. Question 24. Consider the following statements regarding Registrar General of India. 1. In India, national census is being conducted by the Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. 2. Registrar General and Census Commissioner were founded in 1961 by Government of India. 3. A civil servant holding a rank above Joint Secretary usually holds the position of Registrar. Choose the correct answer. Okay, very direct question regarding the Registrar General of India. Choose the correct answer. Easy question. Correct answer is option B. 33% getting it. Wow, Vishnu taking up his lead once again to 502. Question 25. The Supreme Court verdict on the Sabarimala temple entry of women issue has its basis on which among the following doctrines? A. Doctrine of colorable legislation. B. Doctrine of rarest of the rare case. C. Doctrine of essentiality. And D. Doctrine of eminent domain. Choose the correct answer. So, Sabarimala judgment of Supreme Court has its emphasis in which among the following judicial doctrines? Doctrine of colorable legislation, doctrine of rarest of the rare case, doctrine of essentiality, and doctrine of eminent domain. Choose the correct answer. It is an easy question. Correct answer is option C. Okay, it is doctrine of essentiality. Only one person getting that. It is Naveen. Very good. Moving on to the next question. Question 26. Consider the following statements about interstate councils. 1. The council is a recommendatory body on issues relating to interstate, center state and center union territory relationships. 2. One of its duties is to investigate and discuss such subjects in which the states or the center have a common interest. 3. All decisions of the council are taken by majority vote. Choose the correct answer. Regarding interstate councils, which of these is or are correct? Very important. I hope you have read your Lakshmikant textbook. In it, this is very well explained. Okay, so if you haven't read this portion in Lakshmikant, please do go through it again. Nobody getting it right. Option A is the right answer. Moving on to our next question. Question number 27. Consider the following statements regarding transfer of judges of high courts. 1. Article 222 of the Constitution authorizes President to transfer judges of a high court in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. 2. Constitution lays down guidelines as to the reasons for which a judge can be transferred. Which of the above statements is or are incorrect? You are asked to choose the incorrect option. Be very careful here. Article 222 of the Constitution authorizes President to transfer judges of High Court in consultation with Supreme Court of India, in consultation with the Chief Justice of India, and 2 guidelines are given in the Constitution itself, which is correct. Option B. Okay, second statement is incorrect. The guidelines are not given in the Constitution. Okay, first statement is correct. Anyway, right now Vishnu is still at first place, Naveen at the second place, and Sanskar at the third place. Question 28. With reference to district judge, consider the following statements. 1. He possesses original and appellate jurisdiction in civil cases only. 2. He has supervisory powers over all the subordinate courts in the district. 3. A capital punishment passed by him does not need High Court confirmation if not appealed. Choose the correct answer. Very, very important question regarding district judge. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? And the right answer is option C. 50% getting it. Very good. Right after this quiz, we will continue with the NCERT portion, where the whatever is left will be covered. Question 29. Consider the following statements regarding higher judiciary in India. Number 1. The Constitution prohibits any discussion in Parliament with respect to the conduct of judges of the Supreme Court even during impeachment motion. 2. The staff and all the administrative expenses of the Supreme Court are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. Select the correct answer. Very easy question, very direct question. Regarding Supreme Court of India, which of these statements is or are correct? Yeah, time's up. Question number 29, the correct answer is option B. Easy question, I thought. Swati Goswami has joined the quiz and has already made it to the third place. Question 30. With reference to National Testing Agency, consider the following statements. 1. NTA is constituted for conducting examinations earlier conducted by CBSE only. 2. NTA will conduct online examinations thrice a year for the benefit of students. Choose the correct answer. Regarding National Testing Agency, choose which of these statements is or are correct. NTA is constituted by conducting examinations earlier conducted by CBSE only. NTA will conduct online examinations thrice a year for the benefit of students. Choose the correct answer. I think this is a simple question. Correct answer to question number 30 is option D. Okay, none of the above. Everybody getting it. Very good. You can easily eliminate. Okay, that is the advantage. Question 31. Article 123 of Constitution empowers President to promulgate ordinances. Consider the following statements in this regard. 1. An ordinance made when both the houses are in session is valid only if approved by the Council of Ministers and Parliament. 2. An ordinance cannot be used to amend the Constitution. Select the correct answer. Easy question. The viewers in YouTube, kindly join this quiz via Unacademy Learning app. We still have about 20 questions to go. So kindly join the quiz via the Unacademy Learning app. And after this quiz, we will come back with the history session. Okay, I have completed about 75% of today's lesson. The remaining 25% I will see to it just after this quiz. Okay. Moving on. Next question. Question number 32 on the board. It is not mentioned in the rules of procedure. Thus, it is an informal device available to the members of the Parliament to raise matters without any prior notice. It is an Indian innovation in the field of parliamentary procedure and has been in existence since 1962. What am I talking about? Question hour, 0 hour, calling attention motion, policy cut motion. Choose the correct answer. Dear viewers who are in YouTube, you may not be able to read this question because the YouTube screen is very small. So kindly join this quiz via Unacademy Learning app. Okay, download the Unacademy Learning app and under the test tab shown here, hit the join quiz button and enter this code 499043. You can also participate freely. Okay. Moving on to next question. Question number 33. Besides sharing of taxes between the center and the states, the Constitution provides for grants in aid to the states from the central sources. Which of the following statements regarding the grants in aid is or are correct? A. The statutory grants under Article 275 are given to all the states of the recommendation of Finance Commission. B. Center makes discretionary grants to the states on the recommendations of Finance Commission under Article 275. C. Both the above. D. None of the above. If you have studied the Finance Commission and in the Lakshmikant textbook, you will get the answer. Very direct question regarding Article 275. Question 33. Correct answer is indeed option D, none of the above. Okay, both are wrong. The detailed answer key will be given in the Unacademy app itself. After the quiz, you can read the answers all by yourself whenever you want. So please join this quiz, otherwise you will not get the detailed answer key. Question 34. Consider the following statements regarding judges of the Supreme Court. 1. Constitution has not fixed the tenure of the judges. 2. President determines their salaries and allowances. 3. President can remove them on the recommendation of the Parliament. Choose the correct answer. Regarding judges of Supreme Court, which among the following statements is or are correct? No fixed tenure by Constitution. President determines their salaries and allowances. President can remove them on the recommendation of Parliament. Very easy question again. Correct answer option C, 33% getting it. Naveen breaking the 500 mark there. Vishnu taking a clear lead at 759. Swati at the 3rd place and Sanskar at the 4th place. Question 35. Consider the following statements. Constitution confers immunities to the ministers for their official or personal acts. 2. Civil servants are conferred personal immunity from legal liability of government contracts. Choose the correct answer. Okay. Constitution confers immunities to the ministers for their official or personal acts. 2. Civil servants are conferred personal immunity from legal liability of government contracts. Choose the correct answer. Very easy question. You can eliminate some sentences straight away. Whatever is remaining is the answer. 35th question. Correct answer is option B. Okay, civil servants has that immunity, but government, the ministers has immunity as far as their official acts are concerned, but personal doings, they do there is no immunity. Okay. Question 36. Which of the following is or are the executive powers of the president? 1. He appoints the prime minister who holds the office during the pleasure of the president. 2. He can summon a joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament. 3. He appoints the Attorney General of India and determines his remuneration. Which of these statements is or are correct? Dear viewers who are watching in YouTube, kindly join this quiz via the Unacademy Learning app. We still have about 15 questions to go. So please join this quiz via the Unacademy Learning app. Download the app, hit the test button underneath here and click the join quiz button and enter this code 499043. You can also participate. Question number, next question. Question number 37 is about to come up on the board. And consider the following statements regarding zero FIR. Okay, number 1. It is a document that can be registered by any police station when a complaint approaches for a cognizable offence, whether the case is in the jurisdiction or not. 2. Zero FIR can only be registered but not numbered. Choose the correct answer. Good evening, Anand. Welcome. App is stuck. Oh, Swati, you can rejoin the quiz. Just reset the app and rejoin the quiz. Okay, that is possible. You can close it, close the app, then rejoin the quiz again using the same code. I thought your app is stuck. Otherwise, you are stuck at 176 there. So I thought so. Question 38. Consider the following statements regarding the Supreme Court as a court of record. 1. Its judgments, proceedings and acts are recognized as legal precedents. 2. It has the power to punish for its own contempt only, but not the contempt of subordinate courts. Which of these statements given above is or are correct? Contempt of court is very important and it is recently in the news. So I hope you know the answer to this question regarding the power of the Supreme Court as a court of record. Okay, next question. Sorry, 38th question. Correct answer is, time is up. Correct answer is option A. First one only. Okay. Statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 is incorrect. Moving on anyway. Question number 39. Consider the following statements regarding the Council of Ministers. 1. The Speaker of Lok Sabha administers the oath of office to all the ministers. 2. The Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to both the houses of the Parliament. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Speaker of Lok Sabha administers the oath of office to all the ministers. Anand, you can't see the questions properly because you are watching via YouTube. Okay, the quiz is happening in Unacademy Learning app. In order to participate, please download Unacademy Learning app and under the test tab, hit the join quiz button. A screenshot of this is shown in my PPT. In the PowerPoint presentation, it is shown. And enter this code 499043. Then you can also participate. Okay, YouTube screen is a bit small for this and I cannot enlarge it also. So that's the issue. Question number 40. Which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the Central Pollution Control Board? 1. It is a statutory organization constituted under the Air Act 1981. 2. It provides technical services to the Ministry of Environment and Forests under the provision of Environment Protection Act 1986. Select the correct answer. Even if I maximize this, the size, the question size won't increase. I have tried it, okay. In order to participate, you have to come via the Unacademy Learning app. In that, you can actually participate in this quiz. 4 people are currently there live. Okay. So you can also join. There is no, even if I click this maximize button, all it does is ruin the screen. It will come to central position. That is all. Nothing else will happen. Question 41. Which of the following is not a source of parliamentary privilege in India? A. Constitutional provisions. B. Rules of both the houses of parliament. C. Parliamentary conventions. And D. International customary law. Choose the correct answer. Okay, which of the following is not a source of parliamentary privileges in India? Constitutional provisions, rules of both houses of parliament, parliamentary conventions, international customary law. Choose the correct answer. Time is up. Correct answer is option D. 100%. 2 people answered it. Both of them got it right. Vishnu and Naveen still fighting it up for the first position. Swati got the app stuck, so she is unable to participate at the moment. 42nd question. With respect to the judicial system in India, consider the following statements. 1. Supreme Court is the highest court of appeal only for criminal cases. 2. The judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts are appointed by the President. 3. The judges of Supreme Court can be removed by the order of the President. Choose the correct answer. Very simple question. Regarding Supreme Court of India, or say regarding the judicial system in India, choose the correct answer. Very simple options there. Time is up. Correct answer is option A. Alright, Vishnu getting it correct. Very good. There has been some technical issues for Swati and Sanskar also. Question 43. Consider the following statements regarding elections in India. 1. The Model Code of Conduct for the guidance of political parties and candidates comes into effect 48 hours before the election. 2. Election petitions are tried only in the Supreme Court. Choose the correct answer. Okay. Regarding elections, which of the given statements is or are correct? Last 5 seconds. There is a very small, 20% of our NCERT portion to complete. I will take it up right after the quiz is over. Okay. Yeah, Vishnu moving to the 1100 mark. Naveen still at the second place, chasing down Vishnu. 44th question. Which of the following types of veto is not available for the President of India? Option A, absolute veto. Option B, suspensive veto. Option C, qualified veto. And option D, pocket veto. Very simple. One of these is not available for the President of India, and which one is it? Very direct question. Absolute veto, suspensive veto, qualified veto, pocket veto. 10 seconds to go. Last 5 seconds. The time is up. Correct answer is option. Yeah, option C is the correct answer. Both Naveen and Vishnu got it. Very good. Direct question. Moving on to question 45. Consider the following statements about constitutional amendment bills. 1. If the bill seeks to amend the federal provisions of the constitution, it must also be ratified by the legislatures of half of the states by a simple majority. 2. It can be introduced only by a minister. 3. An amendment to the constitution can be initiated in the legislative assembly of a state. Choose the correct answer. No, Swati, I did not qualify. Okay, I think I told you in one of these classes, but I think you were not there. Anyway, I did not qualify. Question 45, time is up. Yeah, option B is the correct answer. Nobody getting it. Moving to next question, 46. Which of the following statements correctly describe the term judicial review in India? A. Power of judiciary to strike down laws which are violating the basic structure of the constitution. B. Power of judiciary to reverse its previous judgment by a comparatively larger bench of the judges. C. Power of the judiciary to review the legislation before they can become an act. D. Power of judiciary to interpret the constitutional provisions. So which among the following options best describes the term judicial review in India? Pretty easy question. I think everybody will get this one correct. Yeah, time is up. 46th question. And the correct answer is option A. 50%. Oh, wow. Yeah, participation. All the participants got that right. Okay. Vishnu moving back to 1300 mark and Naveen breaking the 600 mark. Question 47. The Union Executive consists of who among the following? President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, Attorney General, Comptroller and Auditor General. Union Executive consists of which among the following personnel? President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, Attorney General and Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Very easy question. Those who are watching via YouTube, you may not be able to read the question because it might be very small. Okay, so please join the quiz via the Unacademy learning app. Okay, you can use this code 499043 in order to participate. Anyway, correct answer to that question was option C and one person getting it. No, both of them got it right. So Vishnu breaking the 1400 mark and Naveen moving to 800. Question number. Okay, now there is some network issue, I think. Sorry for that. There has been some issues here. The next question is not getting loaded in my app. Look like I also got that stuck. There has been some technical issues. Okay, just hold on for a minute. Let me just try to fix it. Anyway, we are into the last 3 questions anyway. Okay, I think I am not able to fix this one. Let me try changing the network. Yeah, 49th question has loaded. Consider the following statements regarding office of the president. 1. The executive power of the union shall be vested in the president and shall be exercised by him either directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with the constitution. 2. The supreme command of the defense forces of the union shall be vested in the president and the exercise thereof cannot be regulated by law. Choose the correct answer. Is this the last but first question? Okay, one more question to go after this and we are done for the day. Forty-ninth question. Swati, okay, fine. Don't worry, I mean, we can conduct these quizzes more often. Okay, I mean, my world history lessons in Unacademy learning app will end probably in this week. Okay, so from next week onwards, we can go back to that quizzes in Unacademy sessions. In YouTube, I will be continuing with some theory classes, but in Unacademy, we will go back to that, revision quizzes. Okay, question number 50. All bills, in order to become a law, passed by the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha must be approved by whom? Option A, President. B, Vice President. C, Speaker of Lok Sabha. D, Joint Parliament Committee. That is probably the easiest question of this quiz. Okay, so probably next week onwards we will have that quizzes in Unacademy sessions as we used to have earlier before the prelims. Okay, anyway, that is it. We have come to the end of last question, and again the app has got stuck. Today's winner, I think I can announce the winner now very safely. Okay, so the today's winner is actually Vishnu. There has been some technical issues all over. Many of you were unable to complete the quiz. Doesn't matter. I hope you can see the answers at least after the quiz is over, so that you can go through it and see where you all made mistakes. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I am just taking it off. So today's winner is Vishnu, and at the second place we have Naveen Kumar. Okay, my app is also got stuck. Some technical issues going on. Anyway, let's complete our NCERT session that we have began a while ago. We have looked into civil disobedience movement so far. Okay, now we are going to see how this civil disobedience movement was taken by people of India. Okay, that is what we are going to witness. So CDM happened, as I have already explained, as a part of Mahatma Gandhi's mass struggle method of protests. Okay, so civil disobedience movement occurred after the Gandhi-Irwin Pact was a failure. I mean, after the second roundtable conference became a failure, Mahatma Gandhi came back to India, and here he saw that British has started their rule of oppression, and Congress was declared as an illegal party, and Mahatma Gandhi was forced to relaunch the civil disobedience movement. But understand that civil disobedience movement, which was relaunched by Mahatma Gandhi, did not last for a very long time. It ended around 1 year since the day he launched it. He relaunched it. Okay, so now let's see how participants saw the movement. In the countryside, that is a rural area, the rich peasant communities like the Pattidars of Gujarat and the Jats of Uttar Pradesh. For these people, the movement was very much important. So they actively participated in this movement. Why? Because these were producers of commercial crops. Okay, so they were depressed. They were depressed because of the global depression that started in 1929 and the falling of prices. Clear? So they wanted to fight for Swaraj, and according to them, the fight for Swaraj was a struggle against high revenues imposed by Britain. Okay, so this was their concept of Swaraj. So civil disobedience movement was a fight for Swaraj. So the countryside rich peasants also joined this fight. Now, as far as the poor peasants in the countryside are concerned, they actually wanted civil disobedience movement because they wanted the unpaid rent to the landlord to be remitted. Poor peasants were also not in a good financial condition, so they wanted to remit the unpaid rent. But problem is, the Congress was not in support of this idea. International Congress did not support the poor peasants because they did not want to get associated with no rent campaigns. Why? Because the rich peasants will be alienated. The rich landlords will be alienated. And the Congress did not want erosion of support from the rich landlords. Clear? So poor peasantry did not get what it wanted from the relationship between the Congress and these people in the outskirts of the country. Third one, business class. Business classes were actually making huge profits after World War I. Okay, why? During World War I, the industrial production of Britain became very low. At this time, imports was, more and more goods were exported to Britain from India. Clear? So more and more production by the business people. Also, British imports to India became very low, which means the domestic demand was met by Indian production only. So all this caused a very beautiful time for the business class people in India. Clear? So they actually joined civil disobedience movement because they wanted protection against imports of foreign goods and rupee sterling foreign exchange ratio that would discourage imports. Okay, they wanted Britain to stop unfair imports into India. Clear? So for that purpose, they joined civil disobedience movement. Also, this is the time when Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in 1920 and Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries or FICCI of 1927 was created. Clear? Influential industrialists or influential business people like Purushottam Das Thakurdas, G.D. Birla, etc. also supported the civil disobedience movement. Clear? But although they supported this initially, later on they were not happy with it. Why? Because at some point of time this movement started turning violent. Lots of militant activities happened. Also this was prolongating, which means what? As long as this movement goes on, their business suffers. Correct now? The workers are not coming to the factories. Everywhere it is a total lockdown. Okay, so eventually they did not like the movement CDM, but initially they hugely supported the civil disobedience movement. Clear? So this movement also saw wide participation from women, and that is shown here in this picture from your NCERT textbook. You can see lots and lots of women among the protesters. Okay, so industrial working class did not participate in CDM. Industrialists did work, but the industrial working class did not work. Why? Because Congress was in favor of the industrialists. Okay, so these working class did not like that. I mean, they were actually oppressed by these industrialists. Clear? And Congress was not ready to alienate these industrialists. They did not want to alienate such an influential section in the society. Clear? So the working class people in industries did not participate in CDM except in some places such as Nagpur. Also, strikes by railway workers in 1930, dock workers in 1932. Okay, such occasionally some kind of participation, some minor kinds of participation. That's it. Other than that, there was no huge participation from the side of industrial workers in the CDM. Clear? So, Congress was reluctant to include these workers' demands as a part of its program of struggle because it will eliminate or alienate industrialists. I already explained this to you. Large-scale participation of women. I have already said this, so I am not going to explain. Even in urban areas and even from high-class families, women came out for to participate in huge numbers in the civil disobedience movement. Even in the non-cooperation movement, we see high participation from women. Okay, so increased public role did not necessarily mean any radical change in the way of the position of women was visualized. Okay, although they did participate in huge numbers and they did very good as far as their methods are concerned, but still the social attitude towards women did not change. Clear? So even though they all participated and they were politically conscious and they came out of their house, it doesn't mean the society has changed its opinion or society has changed its perspective towards women. Clear? Now, next topic, the limits of civil disobedience movement. Where all did it fail, or where all did it not get to its full character, full potential? Okay, number one, untouchables. So the so-called untouchables, or right now we call them Dalits. Okay, so these people were not in support of CDM. They did not come out in huge numbers. Why? Again, Congress did not acknowledge these Dalits. Okay, Congress actually ignored these Dalits for fear of offending the Sanatanis or the conservative high-class Hindus. Okay, so this was something awkward for International Congress. Always, whenever they supported one faction, some other faction was always against them. They cannot please both these factions together because they were mutually exclusive. Clear? So this went against International Congress, and since Congress were already in a very good relationship between the conservative high-class Hindus, they did not care much about these untouchables at some point of time. We will see that this is also the reason Ambedkar rose in prominence later and demanded separate electorates for these untouchable classes. Okay, now Mahatma Gandhi in his Harijan newspaper has declared that Swaraj would not come for 100 years if untouchability was not eliminated. So Mahatma Gandhi clearly was against untouchability. Congress also was against untouchability, but the problem was if they take up the untouchables cause, obviously the other faction, the landlords and the high conservative Hindus will obviously turn against them. Okay, so Congress was afraid of alienating one section of the society. That does not mean that they were pro untouchables. Okay, I mean they were pro the concept of untouchability. No, not like that. They also were against untouchability, but they just did not want to make enemies with a faction which is so influential in the society. Okay, so since Congress did not effectively support them at the beginning, these Dalits began to organize themselves, demanding reserved seats and separate electorates. Clear? So Dalit participation in CDM was therefore very, very limited, especially in their strongholds such as Maharashtra and Nagpur. Clear? So this is the time when Dr. B.R. Ambedkar came to the fore. So he organized these Dalits into Depressed Classes Association in 1930. And we see that there is a lot of ideological clashes between Dr. Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, so in the second roundtable conference, the depressed classes were represented by Ambedkar and Indian National Congress was represented by Mahatma Gandhi. Both of them were at clashes. Why? Because Ambedkar demanded separate electorates, which was actually accepted by Irwin. But Mahatma Gandhi did not want this. Okay, so this eventually became a significant clash. Anyway, British decided to give separate electorates for these classes, and communal award was declared by the British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald in 1932. Based on this, these depressed classes got a separate electorate. But since Mahatma Gandhi did not like the idea of a separate electorate for a subfaction within Hindus, he started a hunger strike. Okay, a hunger strike was started by Mahatma Gandhi in opposition to the communal award made by Ramsay MacDonald. So what happened now? Eventually, it all culminated in the Pune Pact, which was signed in 1932 between Ambedkar and Indian National Congress. According to Pune Pact, there will not be separate electorates for the depressed classes, but they will be given reserved seats. Assured reserved seats will be given to these depressed classes. Okay, so they will have to contest in general electorates itself, no separate electorates, but assured seats. Okay, that was Pune Pact. Ambedkar was actually, although he signed this Pune Pact, he was actually against it. He wanted separate electorates for Dalits. We will study about that in detail later. Okay, anyway, continuing. Regarding Muslims, now we saw about some factions. We saw about rich peasants, we saw about women, we saw about poor peasants, industrialist class, business class, we saw about untouchables or the Dalits. Now we are going to see how was Muslim leagues or the Muslim population of India reacting to this. Clear? So after the non-cooperation Khilafat movement, we see a drift between International Congress and Muslim League. Okay, some events that happened post the non-cooperation movement and the Khilafat movement caused a decline in the relationship between Hindus and Muslims. Okay, so at various parts of the country, Hindu-Muslim conflicts, communal conflicts started happening. Clear? But even though all these things happened, Indian National Congress and Muslim League was still trying to keep that national unity against Britain. Okay, and there was a chance in 1927 to make that kind of an alliance. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was the president of Muslim League at that time, he was willing to give up the demand for separate electorates. Okay, on the condition that the Muslims will be assured reserved seats in the Central Assembly and representation in proportion to the population in the Muslim dominated provinces, that is Bengal and Punjab. Which means what? In those areas where Muslims are in majority, there they will get a representation in proportion to their population. And in other areas, Muslims will get some kind of fixed number of reserved seats. If these two conditions are met by International Congress, Muslim League was ready to step away from separate electorates. Problem was that although INC had no issue with it, Hindu Mahasabha opposed. Okay, Hindu Mahasabha at that time was led by M.R. Jayakar, and in the All Parties Conference in 1928, M.R. Jayakar of Hindu Mahasabha opposed these efforts. Clear? So this was a huge, blunder, or we can say that this is one of those turning points which actually completely destroyed Hindu-Muslim unity in India. We will very soon see the emergence of a two-nation theory and eventually India becoming India and Pakistan. Okay, here we had a chance, but M.R. Jayakar of Hindu Mahasabha destroyed it. Okay, then civil disobedience movement was, around this time, Muslim League did not participate much. Why? Because of all these things that has happened until then. The trust between Hindus and Muslims were lost. Okay, so there was an atmosphere of suspicion and distrust between these communities. And so this alienated Muslims from the Indian National Congress, and large sections of the Muslims did not respond to the CDM. Okay, so civil disobedience movement saw very less participation from Muslims because of all these reasons. Now, the sense of collective belonging, or also known as nationalism. I mean, nationalism, I have explained at the beginning of this session regarding nationalism, or how it was important in Europe. Nationalism actually was born it was born as an ideology after the French Revolution. I told you, French Revolution had its repercussions all around the world, especially in Europe. And we see that in India also, our anti-British fight or our independence struggle eventually had all these ideologies wrapped along with it, okay, such as nationalism. So this feeling of nationalism, or feeling of that pride towards one's own nation, this sense of collective being was experienced during this united struggles. Okay, so this feeling emerged as a part of mass movements. It cannot emerge if it is an individual movement, or if it cannot emerge if it happened for various reasons. For example, in 1857 revolt, all the people who were involved in that revolt had their own reasons for participating in the revolution. So there is no nationalism there. There is just vested ideas and vested agendas. Okay, but here in the national movement of India, once it became a national movement, we see the emergence of nationalism as a popular feeling. Also, in order to encourage this feeling of nationalism, many people at this time wrote the history, fiction, folklore, songs, prints, symbols, etc. For this purpose, for this enhancement. Okay, so most of the literature written at that time was actually pro-nationalism. Similarly, many paintings that were made at that time were actually encouraging nationalism. Clear? So India came to be visually associated with the image of Bharat Mata, first created by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee in the very famous song Vande Mataram in his Anandamadam. Vande Mataram came earlier, and it was actually published in the Anandamadam novel, which came later. Okay, so the concept of Bharat Mata, or concept of personifying a nation, or concept of identifying a nation with a person, all these emerged as a part of nationalism around this time. Okay, another example, during the Swadeshi movement, influencing by the Swadeshi movement, Abhirendranath Tagore painted his famous image of Bharat Mata. You can see this image here. You can see this now. This is the Abhirendranath Tagore's painting of Bharat Mata. You can see there is a woman. You can see the symbols of elephant, lion, and the tricolor of India, goddess Lakshmi, etc., etc. Okay, so India was basically equated to a female figure, that too a very godly figure, and this personification actually enhanced the momentum of nationalism. Okay, now nationalists began recording folk tales sung by the bards, and they toured the villages. So these also helps. These kinds of folklores, traditional stories, etc., etc., has a huge impact. Why? Because it has been passed from generations and generations. So this will inspire a feeling of belonging to the people. Okay, so Rabindranath Tagore himself set out to do all these things in Bengal. So you can understand how effective these kinds of methods were. Like Tagore, in Madras, it was Nadesha Shastri who published about 3 volumes of Tamil folk tales. This is known as the folklore of South India. Okay, so these kinds of tales had a huge role to play as far as this collective feeling is concerned. Then, during the Swadeshi movement, a tricolor flag was brought in with red, green and yellow. Okay, the tricolor flag during the Swadeshi movement had red, green and yellow. It is not the current tricolor. Okay, also it had 8 lotuses representing the 8 provinces of British India. It had a crescent moon representing Muslims. Okay, so Hindu-Muslim unity was also shown in this flag. Swadeshi movement, we see that everybody has come out against import of British goods, against, a faction of Muslim League, or say a faction of Muslims stood out of it, but even then, whoever joined did well in that moment. Okay, so because Muslims were, pro partition, Muslim League was at that time pro partition of Bengal. Although that league came later, many sections of the Muslim society wanted that partition because this was a Muslim dominated area, and separating it from the Western Bengal will give them a territory of their own. Okay, we will study about that later. Anyway, in 1921, another tricolor came to the fore, and this tricolor was actually designed by Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, and this tricolor had red, green, and white. But instead of the Ashoka Chakra at the center, he had the spinning wheel at the center. Clear? So this flag, having a flag, national flag, will unite lots and lots of people and enhance their feeling of pride for the nation, which means nationalism can be enhanced. Similarly, reinterpretation of history was another method used by these people. What does this mean, reinterpretation of history? Reinterpretation of history means you can look at history through multiple perspectives. Okay, so at this time, people started to glorify India's ancient past. Okay, India, we had this very advanced, we were very advanced in the field of mathematics, science, biology, etc., etc. So all these things were highly glorified by the historians around this time. The problem was that they considered medieval times as the time of stagnation. Okay, they glorified ancient times, which was actually ruled by Hindus, and they did not do the same with regard to the medieval India. And understand that medieval India was ruled by Muslims. Okay, so this kinds of interpretation, although it led to nationalistic feelings, it also led to division between Hindus and Muslims. Clear? So International Congress at this time was predominantly pictured or blamed as an organization of Hindus because of all these reasons. Okay, then came the last one, Quit India movement. We will study this movement later in detail, but for now I will just give you an abstract. Okay, so you know what happened in the Quit India movement. Quit India movement is actually a result of a lot of failed policies of Britain. Okay, First World War is going on. Britain introduced the Cripps mission and nobody was in favor of Cripps mission. So it failed, and in 1942, due to the failure of Cripps mission and the effects of Second World War, Quit India movement was organized by Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a person who actually called out for this Quit India movement. Okay, he was not there to lead it because he was arrested by the British prior to the start of this movement, but he actually called forward for this movement. So a Congress working committee was met at Wartha on 14th July 1942, and this Wartha session of Indian National Congress passed the historic Quit India resolution. Clear? So it started in 8th of August 1942 in Bombay. The All India Congress Committee endorsed this resolution. Endorsement was done on 8th. It started the next day, 9th. And in this session, on 8th of August 1942, Mahatma Gandhi gave the very famous speech, Do or Die. You might have heard of this phrase, do or die. This was given by Mahatma Gandhi in the very famous Quit India declaration that happened in 8th August 1942 in Bombay session of Indian National Congress. Okay, Quit India movement was actually a true mass movement which brought into its ambit thousands of ordinary people, students, workers, peasants, everybody came together. Leaders like JP, Aruna Asaf Ali, Ram Manohar Lohia, Matangini Hazra in Bengal, Kanakalata Barua in Assam, Ramadevi in Odisha, all these people also did well in these movements. If you look at these names, apart from maybe Jayaprakash Narayan and Ram Manohar Lohia, others are not that much familiar names. Why? Because most of the prominent leaders were taken to jails by British people the day before. Okay, so the Quit India movement was more or less a leaderless movement. All the prominent leaders were arrested. So although this movement was planned to be a non-violent movement, some kind of violence was instilled here and there because people did not have a leader. Clear? So some new leaders emerged at this time. People like Aruna Asaf Ali, Usha Mehta, etc., etc. Okay, so as a conclusion to this session, we can say that all this growing anger against the colonial government thus brought together various groups and united as a mass movement against the British. Okay, so it was actually this common enemy, British, that actually gave India a kind of nationalism. Indian people united only because they had a common enemy. Despite being of different languages, despite being of different religions, despite being of various ethnicities, they together came back under one banner. That is the aim to get freedom. Okay, so Congress under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi tried to channel all these people's grievances into organized movements for independence. That is why I told at the beginning of this session, and I am repeating this again. Biggest contribution of Mahatma Gandhi to Indian national movement is turning the Indian national movement into a mass struggle. Okay, he brought in the masses into the national movement, and that is the biggest contribution of Mahatma Gandhi. And bringing the masses into the movement actually changed the face of the national movement of India, which eventually pressured the Britain to quit India. Okay, so all these people together tried to forge national unity, but problem was that the high points of the Congress activity and nationalistic unity were also followed by phases of disunity and inner conflicts. Okay, although they had tried to achieve all these things, although they managed to bring in this kind of unity, the moment they achieved something, they also lost something. For example, consider NCM. In the non-cooperation movement, it was merged with Khilafat movement also. So Hindus and Muslims were together conducting everything. Okay, but the moment NCM was done, what happened? We see some divide between Hindus and Muslims, communal revolts happening between Hindus and Muslims. Also, within the Congress itself, a sub-party was formed, that is the Swarajist Party by C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru. Okay, so such kinds of splits and such kinds of commotions was visible throughout the period of international movement. Okay, so despite having achieved some kind of nationalism, India was yet divided based on politics, communalism, religion, caste, etc. etc. Okay, but however, anyway, we will see that although India was split into two nations at the end of 1947, and even after that, India now, the current day India has many states based on linguistic provinces. Even then, having all this diversity, India is still a unit. Okay, so India, just like the Article 1 of our constitution says, India is a union of states. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. So despite having all these differences, we still managed to become one single state. Clear? So this is basically the end of this chapter. We have reached the end. That is it. Thank you everybody for joining. So we will see another chapter, the third chapter of Standard 10 textbook tomorrow for NCERT. Okay, so please use my code MSRW1 in order to get 10% discount on any Unacademy subscriptions. Also, please please subscribe to my Telegram channel so that you will get the PDFs of today's session. Okay, t.me/MSRW1. You can subscribe to this channel. I will be uploading the PDF of this note in about 30 minutes. You can download it from there. Okay, so that is it. Thank you everyone. See you again tomorrow. Today 8 p.m. I have a session in Unacademy app. I will be teaching UNO. Okay, United Nations Organization. We have completed Second World War there, and the next topic is United Nations, and that will be conducted at 8 p.m. today in Unacademy app. So until then, bye bye. See you.